Inconsistency in is behavior over immutable objects in Python 3.6 and older versus 3.7. I was introducing is operator to my students when I noticed that there's an inconsistency in its behavior between Python version 3.6 and older and version 3.7. Launch a Python shell and run. Or in v3.6.x you get false for both, but in version 3.7 they turn out to be true. My expectation was that the results should be true, as I thought immutable numeric objects, or a tuple of them, have just one instance. It seems that at least my thought was not right in the previous versions of Python. Does anyone know what changes have been made which explains this new behavior?
I'm not sure about reasons and source for this, but my guess is that this has something to do with inline optimizations. If you'll assign variable for this values, identity check will result in false, same as before. Interesting note on new folding optimization. As Python is all runtime, there's no way to optimize some things ahead, but it tries hard, parsing as much scope as it can.
Why should immutable objects that are the same occupy the same instance? When using is in Python, you are essentially asking if A and B occupy the same piece in memory. If you think of A and B as immutable literals, it's not like Python has a specific space to save every type of immutable literal. It's pure chance that it return true in this instance, and entirely possible it will return false if you choose a different literal. Take a look at this. If you want to avoid this, do not use is on things you didn't explicitly save into memory.
I believe that this behavior is due moving the constant folding from the peephole optimizer, compile time operation, to the new AST optimizer, runtime operation, which, as it's also mentioned in this URL, is now able to perform optimizations more consistently. Contributed by Eugene Totter and Inada Naoki in PO 29469 and PO 11549. My expectation was that the result should be true, as I thought immutable numeric objects, or a tuple of them, have just one instance. Immutability is not strictly the same as having an unchangeable value. Before you call an object mutable or immutable, it's an object, and objects in Python are created at runtime. So there's no reason to connect mutability to object creation and identity. There are, however, some exceptions like this one or small object in turning in both previous and current versions, which, mostly for the sake of optimization, this rule, object creation at runtime, gets manipulated. Read this URL for more details.
My expectation was that the result should be true, as I thought immutable numeric objects, or a tuple of them, have just one instance. That expectation is questionable. There's no such thing guaranteed by the Python language. Is a quite tricky operator because you really need to know when it's appropriate to use it. For example, these are not appropriate uses of is in the general case. They may be appropriate if you want to check what line/function optimizations in turning Python is doing, but I guess that wasn't the desired use case here. Is should only be used if you want to compare to constants that are guaranteed to only have one instance. The guaranteed built-in constants are none, not implemented, ellipsis, also known as ... true, false, __debug__, or your own constant-like instances. Or when you explicitly assign variables to a new name. Does anyone know what changes have been made which explains this new behavior? Probably the peephole optimizer now optimizes more cases, tuples, and mathematical expressions. For example, AST level constant folding, this URL, has been added in Python 3.7. I intentionally wrote Python here because it's nothing that has been added to the Python 3.7 language specification.
False